Hello. Hi, this is Sylvie Steinbach, and I am doing a Ustream recorded podcast for the first time. And I'm trying this system because I would like to speak about my upcoming courses starting August 31st. That would be a series of three courses that you may be interested in if you are looking into the Lenormand Oracle. Now, I have been doing the Lenormand Oracle professionally for 30 years, and I still work professionally as a Lenormand practitioner and do about 80 readings a month. And I have been reading the Lenormand with people, basically about 13, 14 years old when I was in school. And I started to have paying customers when I was 16. So I have a long history personally and professionally with the Lenormand Oracle. And my aunt and my grandmother learned the Lenormand themselves, and they learned it at the time where there were no book on the subject matter. And so they learned it from other people who had a history of using the Lenormand Oracle. When I released the first Lenormand book in English in 2006, 2007, it was called The Secret of the Lenormand Oracle. The Lenormand was a very little known oracle in the English-speaking countries because there were no literature in English to help people get started. So it was a very small little group, and the Lenormand was really not a captivating system for a lot of people, and that's the reason why no publisher were really interested in footing the investment, not only in terms of cards but also in terms of manuals. I guess the book was released in August 2007 and created a lot of controversy at the time because I had obviously updated the system because I had to. I was a professional, and the traditional way of reading the Lenormand was basically mainly set around what they call a grand tableau, which is using the 36 cards at once. But it was a very lengthy method that is quite counterproductive when you have clients who pay per their time. So if it takes you 15 minutes to get your system on the table, that's 15 minutes the clients have paid just to look at you, shuffling cards. So that may not be a very good service that the client may be seeing. However, in Europe, most people don't charge per time, at least not in the old days. You were paying a fee, and it was regardless of how long the reading lasts. So if the reading was lasting 3 hours and you had to pay $100, then that's all you will pay. So it was okay to have a lengthy system to use the Lenormand with because this was not influencing the wallet of the client. Today, professional services like psychic readings do not work like that, and they are basically billed on an increment that could be minutes, that could be by quarter, 15 minutes increment, and so therefore people just want to have their money worth of what they are paying you for. So a system that was much faster, that we're getting into the meat and potatoes of what the client was interested to know, was very important, and I spent 15, 20 years to develop this system, and the book was an introduction not only to the Lenormand Oracle, but to this very fast method of reading the cards. Uh, if you are someone who speaks German or speak French, of course you can read some of the European literature that are very much predominant in Europe regarding this oracle, which has always been a bestseller, as strongly as the tarot has been for the past 130 years. Unfortunately, by the time I left France in the early 90s, it was known. It was a classic oracle, but it was really on its last leg because there were very little books available. The internet did not exist at the time. in a sense that you had to still look for a book somewhere in a library. There were no esoteric library really in the 80s. There were very few between, and therefore they were not carrying everything that you could imagine now you could access to on Amazon or other specialty online stores. So in many ways, the knowledge was still oral tradition. If you got lucky to have family members to teach you how to use it, that's what was great. But for people who were having no connection whatsoever with that particular esoteric background, they were having, very little chance to be able to get started. So today, of course, it has changed dramatically since 2007. In 7 years, you have now about 10 people who attend to release or have released books in English regarding the Lenormand Oracle. So it's moving, and you have now publisher interested in publishing new decks. So this is the best that could happen to the Oracle at this point. And I think that anything that makes a business thrive around a particular tool is always a good thing. Now, the courses that I have available are not for everybody. You will find online on YouTube some teachers that really cater to one size fit all because that's the choice they made. I don't. I want to create very, very good reader. So I tend to have a very different approach in teaching, and I am not for everybody. The symbolism in slow motion is accessible for everybody, even people who didn't buy my book, The Secrets of the Lenormand Oracle. You can learn based on what is shown on the card and the history behind that particular symbol. Today, you have people interested in Lenormand that are not Europeans. They are from Australia, New Zealand, Japan, China, and they don't have the historic understanding of why those symbols, those objects were really picked up to begin with. So understanding that aspect, be able to understand what those objects were used for, and why the definition therefore are connected to their uses. It's very important if you need to recall the meanings of the cards without having to learn everything by heart to begin with, which can be a very difficult task. Memorization is not for everybody. It's unless you take it like this. I'm very bad in memorization, so I need to understand the meanings, why they are there. And some of those meanings to contradict some of the traditions. And I said tradition with an S because depending on where you were coming from, Germany, Belgium, France or Switzerland, the definition would have some variations. The same way that there are variations in how the grand tableau is set up on the table. So there is no one version of tradition. There's many oral traditions. If you go to Russia, they read the Lenormand ups and downs. So the idea that there's only one way to do it and everybody else is wrong is absolutely ill will, because it's not what has been going on historically with the Lenormand to begin with. So my version is updated. It is very specific. It allows you to yell a lot of very specific information. I intend to pursue in more advanced topics, which probably will not see in the future, because I do past life mediumship and channeling and a lot of other interesting work with the Lenormand, and I do not intend to publish any book about it, so, and not intend to make it public either, unless you are willing to sign an agreement of non-disclosure, because what's happening is when you have a market that is exploding, you have a lot of people who are very greedy and tend to have no problem to steal other people's material and to make it like it was theirs to begin with. So I'm not interested in going to that race of fame and proprietorship in terms of, this is not her invention, it was already there all along. Let me be very clear to you, all basic topics may be available out there in the common part of the knowledge, but what I do on more advanced, it's not. So you probably will not find those things unless you have taken courses from me and you have moved into the advanced level. So the first three courses I offer right now are Symbolism in Slow Motion, which is really for beginners and people who are confused, and are interested in really understanding the Lenormand oracle in a way where it makes sense. And it's a 5 module course, 5 weeks. They are usually 2 hours and plus. One module can be about 2 hours and 45 minutes so far. And if you attend it live, it's of course very interesting, but I do intend to make Symbolism in Slow Motion in the future as a fee access course that you will allow that will allow people to access to recordings of those modules without audience. Now you're going to lose the interactivity with that. So if you have issues, you won't be able to get me to be able to tell you what the problem is and to get you the answers. That's the trade-off, and that's why it will be a little bit more affordable. But if you don't intend to continue with me, that could be good enough. If you want to pursue with a no layout system, which is the slow motion, but this is going to be called the no layout, good basics and first steps. Those two courses require a non-disclosure agreement, require a motivation letter for why you want to participate into it, and they are action-packed, they are information-packed. People who go through this process just will tell you this is not your cookie cutter type of training. It's really the serious stuff, and by the time you're finished, you will be able to see why I'm very good at what I do. And I've taught people in the past online and tutor them when I was giving my time freely, and those people ended up becoming very good Lenormand readers at a professional level. So I deliver what I say I'm going to deliver. If you learn from me, you will be very good at what you do. So Symbolism in Slow Motion is 5 weeks. No layout first step is 5 weeks, and no layout good basics is also 5 weeks. If you're interested in the program, I can tell you that Symbolism in Slow Motion will go through all the cards, and I can tell you by each module what it composed by. We have first module, the horseman, the letter, the birds, the book, the man, the woman, the ship, and the fish. This will be covered. Then the second module will do the anchor, the house, the moon, the stars, the tower, the clover, the bear, and the fox. The third module is the one that usually people are very challenged by, which is why it usually lasts over 2 hours, which is the snake, the mice, the mountain, the coffin, the clouds, the cross, the scythe, and the whip. The fourth module is the crossroad, the storks, the lily, the child, the heart, the sun, the ring, and the bouquet. And finally, the fifth module will be the garden, the key, the tree, and the dog, and there will be some basic breakdown in terms of how you can use the cards that I will go over in the Q&A. If you of what of the questions usually are being asked around those particular course, and you will be ready to go and pursue whatever you want to pursue. If it is learning other layouts or the Grand Tableau, but just be aware that some of those definitions may not be following some other people's definition, and that's part of the Lenormand world. It has always been like this. There have always been variation definitions, variation in application of the Lenormand into a reading. It's nothing new. It's been going on for 60, 70 years, as far as I can tell. Was talking to my aunt, my grandmother, and very controversial always, because there have always been people extremely negative about anything else except for whatever they liked, and we are continuing to see that today. So just don't get put off by that. Just decide for yourself who is the teacher you want to follow, and how you want to learn, and then just stick to it. I always said to my students, only learn one system first very well before you move on to another, and after that, it's more about how the cards works for you, and it's not about anything else. So it's about how accurate you are and how the client feel you're good at it. Because if you intend to do a business of it, um, the only way you can stay in business is to have a repeated clientele, and that means you have to be able to be accurate when people record you, and whatever you say to them does happen, and that's really the way you know if somebody is good at what they do. So the second webinar that I will do is No Layout First Step. If you're interested in knowing what those modules are, I'm going to tell you what it is. The first module is a no layout ABC, how to and what are the steps. And this is important because we are going through what is my system. And therefore you will not automatically understand if you look at a lineup of 5 cards. There's many ways people will interpret that and say that this is the no layout. No, it's not. Then you will see when you go through this course that the no layout is a little bit more sophisticated than initially what you may have heard online. So the second module is about the analysis of a no layout. So it's about never make a mistake again, and it follows the step, and if you follow the steps, you will decode the message. So it's how you will be able to unlock the secrets of this particular oracle. The third module is about profiling. Who is the person? Who is this person? Can you tell about who it is? So this particular module will give you an idea how to unveil uncanny details and verifiable information and get immediate feedback from your client. Part of those courses is to do homework assignments, and what students realize, and when I ask them to do that with people that they don't know, they're amazed how accurate this particular system is, because that person is able to confirm the information that the student is able to extract from that particular deck. And when I say information, I'm talking about physical description, character description, sometime in a way where the word they use will be exactly what the clients will use to either define itself or define the person that is being looked at. So this is when it starts to click for people, that maybe that no layout is not a small little thing. So fourth module, well, assessing what is going on. Understand the entire situation, figure out what is hidden and what you have been told, and impress your clients with your details. In order to predict accurately, you have to be able to assess accurately. And assessing means you have to be able to understand a situation in all its components. And what I mean by that is it somebody who feels that way, but why this person feel that way? What's the pedigree? What's the background? What is really going on? Or if a situation is going to unfold a certain way, you need to understand each part of that situation, how they play around that. So assessing is really about understanding what is really going on in order to be able to do what the last module will be able to do for you, which is predicting. And predicting is about what's going to happen, what may take place, and why. It's not enough to say to somebody, yes, the answer is yes or no. You have to go beyond that. You have to be able to explain why this is going to happen this way. And you cannot explain that if you did not assess your players properly and your facts properly. So explaining the client the logic behind your insight is as important as be able to be accurate into your outcome. And so really this is a course that not only is about unveiling what you can do with the Lenormand Oracle, but it's also about how you present that to a client and how it's been done. There's what the reader is going to do as part of the work, and what the client will only get on their side. I do a lot of work, but what I'm going to say at the end of the client is only the tip of the iceberg. And I'm only going to give to the client what I believe is essential for the client to know, and the rest is not that important. But I had to unveil that iceberg. I had to go and look at the 2/3 underneath the water to be able to understand what kind of iceberg I'm dealing with, and if it's a dangerous one or not, and what speed it's going for, and how slow or fast it's going to melt. And I need to be able to understand the nature of the ice. And all that is part of a very, very good reader process. And I am teaching you that so that you have good foundation should you decide to become a professional. Now, the last webinar that is part of the basic knowledge is actually called No Good Basics. And I'm going to tell you what those 5 weeks will be covering. First module is about love inquiries. It's about 70% of why people are coming to see you. And if you realize that 70% of your clientele may be female, that is a very important part of the questions. So what kind of relationship, what is she thinking, feeling, doing, when and who is coming? We'll be looking at it and answers using what we have learned so far, but be able to decode it specific to this frame of work. One of the challenges that students will tell you is that, okay, so you understand the theory about how to break down the message and understanding what the card is saying, but how do you apply it when it is within the frame of a question, of an inquiry? Sometimes, students are having a hard time to be able to do that. For some reason, they get stuck. So it's all part of learning to practice and understanding how to unstuck yourself when you are caught in a situation where whatever you're seeing in front of you does not automatically make sense. The second module is about marriage analysis. It's also part of the love question, but what you don't realize is a lot of people are already in a committed relationship. Sometimes it's a marriage, sometimes it's a life partnership, sometimes it is a domestic relationship. And so it's important to be able to figure out exactly what's going on, but also where this is going to go. So is it a commitment? Is it heading to a divorce? Is this person cheating, and with who? Is he or she leaving or not? We'll be looking at that as well. Now the third module is about career. Career is another big topic, particularly if you deal with men clients. Most of the kind of question you're going to get is what kind of job, what is my job prospect, what would I get, when will I get a job, my company's future, when will I make it big, how to be successful. So of course we're going to concentrate on jobs, but also self-employment, independent contractors, freelancers, people who may think about creating their own business, and we're going to be able to help them figure out what would be the best type of field, what kind of status they need to look into, and we have to be able to explain why. It's not enough to tell them you need to do this. I need to be able to tell them why I think this would be the way to go, and it has to resonate to them in order for them to trust you. So we're going to go over those things as well. The fourth module will be about financial inquiries. Again, money questions, but it's more than just money questions. It's more about the raise and about making more money. It's also about people who have debts, bankruptcies, people who have maybe lawsuits, who are looking for a claim payment from an insurance. People want to know their business outlooks in terms of sales. You have people who have to meet certain numbers in order to feel better about the next quarter. You have to be able to answer that kind of question beyond just a yes or a no. So we'll go over this kind of topic as well. And then the fifth module is about the miscellaneous matters like real estate and children and moving. This is also questions that usually are being asked. This is real estate, buying, selling a house. There's also the issue of escrow, if it's going to be an issue with the loan. The children, we're looking at pregnancy and if it's going to be a boy, girl, or we're looking at, how many children. We're going to stay on the basic, try to not go into health questions because it's a more advanced topic, but we'll cover also moving, all those little miscellaneous that sometimes will be part of the normal basic questions that you're going to be encountering, so we'll cover that as well. So that's not a bad program, isn't it? If you were able to get this under a comfortable zone of practice of the Lenormand, you'll be feeling quite good about yourself, isn't it? So this is part of what I am dedicating myself to do. We'll start on August 31st for Symbolism in Slow Motion, and we'll move into every 5 weeks into the next level. So if you are interested, I would advise you to subscribe to my website, sylviesteinbach.com. If you go to media page, there is a subscription. You can enter your email address, and I will email you as soon as we have things going. You can also look at the class page, and you will see the dates for it. If you're interested in joining the forum that I like to participate to, it's the Lenormand Oracle ning, ning.com, and you may be able to get a discount on some of those classes. So just a little secret there if you wanted to be able to take advantage of some of the promotional discount I gave out there. If you have any question, I am available an email. I do offer tutoring, private tutoring, which I always advise for people who are very serious about the Lenormand. You can go through my training and have it very affordable, since we now have a system to do webinars. It's much more, it's cheaper, I don't know, than when I used to travel and do those courses over the weekend. But it's always good to have me be able to assess where you're at and see where your problems are and be able to correct them. So if you need to book a private tutoring, my fees are the same. That is posted on the website. It's a matter of how long you book with me in terms of time. My minimum is a half an hour. So if you have any desire to participate to those courses, Symbolism in Slow Motion is the first one to be part of. And I hope that no matter what you decide, it will be great to have you as a live audience, but I am planning to offer that Symbolism in Slow Motion eventually as access for a fee type of course, but that will be the only one like that. And the only reason is that this is actually a course you can study on your own if you are motivated. But for any other courses where it involves a no layout system, you will have to be willing to be part of a live audience and make time for it. So I'm really pleased to have taken some time to chit chat with you, and you get an idea of how I look like, and you know, in terms of what I'm willing to do. And listen, I wish you a good continuation on your Lenormand journey, and hope to see you soon on one of my webinars. You take care. Bye.